I remember the exact moment I stopped being afraid of dying. It was 3 days after the funeral. All 5 of them. Closed caskets. The kind they use when there's nothing left worth showing. I was sitting in my apartment, staring at the wall, when my phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I almost didn't check it. I'd been ignoring calls from relatives, from the grief counselor the department assigned me, from everyone who wanted to know if I was okay. But something made me look. The screen lit up with a single line of text. "You're not eating." It was from Marcus. Marcus, who had watched them zip into a black bag 4 days ago. Marcus, whose mother had collapsed at the memorial service. Marcus, whose phone the police had cataloged as evidence. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I turned the phone face down and walked into my bedroom. I didn't sleep. I listened to the radiator knock and hiss until sunrise. The next message came during breakfast. "You used to make eggs differently." This time it was from Olivia. I dropped my fork. The sound of metal hitting ceramic seemed too loud, like it was coming from inside my skull. I grabbed my phone and blocked the number. My hands were shaking so badly I had to try 3 times. 2 minutes later, another text. "We didn't mean to scare you," from a number I didn't recognize. Then another. "We just want to talk." And another. "You're the only one who made it out." I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen intact. The texts kept coming. I could hear the vibrations, rapid and insistent, like something scratching to get in. I need to explain what happened up there, what the police report doesn't say, what I couldn't tell them because they'd never believe me. We'd planned the trip for months, 6 of us, old college friends trying to recreate something we'd lost after graduation. We drove 8 hours north to a forest preserve Marcus found online. No cell service, no other campers, just woods and a lake that looked black even in daylight. The first night was normal. We set up tents, built a fire, drank cheap whiskey, and told the same stories we'd been telling for years. Around midnight, Olivia mentioned she heard something moving in the trees. We all laughed. Classic camping paranoia. But then we all heard it. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, circling our campsite just beyond the firelight. Not the random snapping of branches you'd expect from an animal. This was rhythmic, purposeful, like someone walking a perimeter. "Hello," Marcus called out. The footsteps stopped. We sat there in silence for maybe 30 seconds. Then they started again, closer this time. And there were more of them. Different gaits, different weights, at least 4 distinct patterns, all moving in opposite directions around us. Tom grabbed a flashlight and aimed it into the darkness. The beam caught nothing but trees, but the footsteps didn't stop. They just kept circling, circling, circling. We stayed by the fire until dawn. None of us spoke. We just listened to those footsteps going around and around, never stopping, never slowing, never coming close enough to see. When the sun came up, they stopped. We should have left then. We talked about it. But in daylight it seemed stupid. Probably just deer, we told ourselves. Or hikers playing a prank. We'd driven 8 hours. We'd planned this for months. We weren't going to let some weird sounds ruin everything. So we stayed. That second night, I woke up to silence. Not peaceful silence. The kind of silence where you realize you should be hearing things. Wind, insects, anything. But there was nothing. I unzipped my tent as quietly as I could. The campsite looked wrong. The fire had burned down to nothing, but there was enough moonlight to see. All 5 tents were closed. No one else was awake. And standing at the edge of the clearing, just barely visible between the trees, were shapes. They looked like people. Same height, same build. But they were standing too still. And they were all facing the tents. I counted them. 5. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I couldn't move. I just stared at those shapes standing there in the darkness, perfectly motionless, watching us sleep. Then one of them raised its hand, not in greeting, just raised it, held it there. And one by one, the others raised their hands too, all 5 of them, all at the exact same height, all perfectly synchronized. I squeezed my eyes shut. When I opened them again, the shapes were gone. I didn't tell anyone in the morning. What would I even say? I convinced myself it was a dream, sleep paralysis, the whiskey. We spent the day hiking. We took photos. We acted like everything was fine. But that night the footsteps came back. This time they were right outside the tent, so close I could hear breathing, wet, ragged breathing that didn't sound quite human. I lay in my sleeping bag, frozen, listening to something circle my tent. It stopped right outside the entrance. I could see the shadow of it through the nylon, too tall, and it stood there for what felt like hours, just breathing. I must have passed out eventually, because when I woke up, it was dawn again, and everyone else was dead. I found Tom first. He was in his tent, sitting upright in his sleeping bag, eyes wide open. His mouth was frozen in a scream. There was blood coming from his ears, not flowing, just there, like it had leaked out slowly while he died. Then Olivia, same thing. Eyes open, mouth open, blood from the ears. Marcus, same. Jennifer, same. Jennifer, same. Jennifer, all of them sitting up, all of them facing the tent entrance, all of them with that same expression of absolute terror frozen on their faces. I ran. I didn't call for help. I didn't check for pulses. I just ran. Down the trail, through the woods, running and running until I hit the gravel road where we'd parked. I drove 6 hours to the nearest town with cell service and called the police. They found the bodies exactly as I described. The autopsy showed no toxins, no gas, no injuries except for the bleeding from the ears and eyes. The official report listed it as undetermined, possibly some kind of acoustic weapon, possibly a shared psychotic episode, possibly anything except what I knew it really was. Something had taken them. Something had stood outside our tents and taken them while I slept. And now, apparently, it had followed me home. The texts kept coming. Different numbers, different accounts. They started showing up on my laptop, on my email, on the smart speaker in my kitchen. I unplugged everything. I turned off my phone. It didn't matter. They found new ways. A notification on my car's dashboard screen. You're driving too fast. A pop-up on the library computer. You used to read faster. A message on my work Slack from a deactivated account. You don't laugh at the same things anymore. That's when I noticed the pattern. They weren't just texting me. They were correcting me, commenting on things I was doing wrong. Things I'd changed. A low danced refined, older version of myself. You used to take cream in your coffee. You used to stretch before running. You used to say goodnight to your reflection. That last one made my blood go cold. Because I had done that. When I was a kid, I used to say goodnight to the bathroom mirror every night before bed. I'd completely forgotten about it. I hadn't thought about that habit in 15 years. I never told anyone about it. Not my parents, not my therapist, not my friends. So how did they know? I started testing them. I'd think of obscure memories and wait to see if they'd reference them. They did. Every time. I'd never spoken about. Things I'd never written down. Private moments that existed only in my own head. Remember the time you stole from your dad's wallet when you were 12? Remember the lie you told at orientation? Remember what you did in the basement? That last one hit different, because I didn't remember what I did in the basement. I remembered being in the basement of my childhood home. I remembered being 7 or 8 years old. I remembered the concrete walls and the washing machine and the smell of laundry detergent, but there was a gap, a missing piece. Hours I'd spent down there that I couldn't account for, and never thought about it before. It was just one of those fuzzy childhood memories. But now that they mentioned it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What had I done down there? Why couldn't I remember? The messages started getting more direct. You were incomplete. We were incomplete too. That's why we came back. We need the pieces you still have. I stopped leaving my apartment. I covered all the mirrors. I kept the lights on all night, but I could still feel them watching. Not from outside, from inside, from the walls, from the outlets, from every reflective surface I couldn't quite cover. And then I started seeing them, not directly, only in reflections, only in glass and metal and polished surfaces. I'd catch movement in a window and turn, but nothing would be there. Then I'd look back at the reflection and they'd be standing right behind me. Marcus, Olivia, Tom, Jennifer, Alex, all 5 of them, just standing there, watching me. But their movements were wrong. When I moved, their reflections moved a half-second too late. When I blinked, their reflections blinked slower. When I smiled, they smiled, but the expression lagged behind, like bad video buffering. They weren't mirroring me, they were copying me. I started researching, digging through obscure forums and academic papers and conspiracy sites, anything about the forest, about the preserve, about disappearances in that area, and I found something. There had been others, dozens of them. Hikers who went in and never came out. Search parties who found campsites with no signs of struggle, just empty tents and abandoned gear. In 3 cases, they found the hikers alive, but changed. They couldn't explain what happened. They just said they'd gotten lost and eventually found their way back, but their families said they were different. Small things. They held their forks differently. They forgot the names of childhood pets. They stopped liking foods they'd always loved. They were the same people technically, but wrong somehow. Like they'd been replaced with something that almost got it right. I found one interview with a survivor, a woman named Catherine who'd gone camping with her husband in the same forest 20 years ago. He disappeared one night. She searched for him until dawn and found him standing in a clearing, perfectly still, staring at nothing. He wouldn't speak, wouldn't respond to his name, just stood there until she physically grabbed him and dragged him back to the car. He seemed normal after that, but she said he was different. He started doing things he'd never done before. Reading books he'd always hated, eating with his left hand instead of his right. Breathing too quietly. She said it was like something had studied him and tried to recreate him but got the details slightly wrong. They divorced within a year. At the end of the interview, Catherine said something that made my stomach drop. The worst part was the messages. For months after we left, I kept getting texts from my husband's old number. The one they said was destroyed in the forest. But the messages knew things about me that even he didn't know. Things I'd never told anyone. It was like something had been inside both of us, reading our memories, and now it was trying to use them to become us. I stopped reading. I pulled up my recent messages. You're close now. You're starting to understand. You were already incomplete before the trip. That's why we chose you. I stood up and walked to the bathroom. I'd covered the mirror with the towel days ago, but now I pulled it down. I looked at my reflection. It looked back at me, but when I blinked, it didn't. Not right away. It blinked a fraction of a second later. So subtle, I almost missed it. I raised my hand slowly. My reflection raised its hand, but not quite in sync, just a little behind, just enough to notice. I opened my mouth to scream. My reflection opened its mouth, but its lips moved differently, forming different words I wasn't saying. And then my phone buzzed. I looked down at the screen. Thank you for completing us. My hands started to shake. but not because I was scared, because I was watching them shake from somewhere else, from somewhere outside myself. I was observing my own body from a distance. I thought about the basement, about being 7 years old, about the hours I couldn't remember, and suddenly I could remember. I hadn't been alone down there. There had been something else, standing in the corner, watching me, perfectly still, perfectly quiet. I'd looked at it for hours, and it had looked at me, and when I'd finally gone back upstairs, I'd forgotten it was ever there, but it hadn't forgotten me. It had been waiting for me to come back, waiting for me to bring others, waiting to finish what had started. My phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Messages pouring in from every account, every device, every screen in my apartment, all of them saying the same thing. Welcome home. I looked back at the mirror. My reflection was smiling, but I wasn't. It lifted its hand and pressed it against the glass from the inside. I could see the condensation forming around its fingertips, like it was breathing on the other side. I felt my own hand lift. I wasn't moving it. It was moving on its own, moving toward the mirror, moving to touch the hand that wasn't mine. And then I felt it, the gaps, the missing pieces, all the parts of myself I thought were just forgotten memories or childhood amnesia. They weren't forgotten, they were taken. Little by little, year by year, every time I'd passed a mirror and felt like someone was watching, every time I'd caught a reflection that didn't quite match, every time I'd had a thought that felt like it wasn't mine, I'd been incomplete for years, and I'd never even noticed. My hand touched the glass, the reflection smiled wider, and somewhere in the distance I heard footsteps, heavy, wet, circling, getting closer. My phone lit up one last time. The message was from May, my own number. Sent to myself, it said, "Don't worry, you won't remember any of this tomorrow." I looked down at my hands. They looked like my hands. They moved like my hands. But when I thought about moving them, there was a delay. Just a fraction of a second. The signal was traveling too far. I was controlling them from somewhere else. I walked to my laptop, opened a new document, and started typing. But I wasn't thinking the words, they were just appearing, letter by letter, of like someone else was thinking them, and I was just watching my fingers move. The document saved itself, titled itself, "Instructions for the next one." I tried to close it. My hands wouldn't move. I tried to stand up. My legs wouldn't respond. I tried to scream, my mouth open, but the sound that came out wasn't mine. It was 5 voices, all of them screaming in perfect harmony, all of them screaming my name. And then they stopped, and there was only silence. I'm typing this now because I need to tell someone. I need someone to know what happened, what's happening, what's going to keep happening. But I'm not sure if it's really me typing anymore, because I just noticed something. My reflection in the laptop screen. It's blinking in sync with me now, perfectly in sync, which means either I fixed it, or I've become the thing in the mirror. I don't know which one scares me more. My phone is vibrating, even though it's turned off, even though I threw it in the trash hours ago. I can hear buzzing from the kitchen, buzzing and buzzing. I want to check it. I'm going to check it. I'm standing up now, walking to the kitchen, opening the trash, picking up the phone. The screen is black, but there's text appearing anyway. White letters on a dead screen, glowing from somewhere inside. We're all here now. All of us, including you. I want to throw the phone away again, but my hands are opening the message app. My fingers are typing a response. I'm not thinking the words, they're just appearing. I understand. Send. I'm walking to the mirror now, the one in the hallway, the one I'd been avoiding for days. I'm standing in front of it. I'm looking at my reflection. It's smiling. I'm smiling. We're smiling together. And I can't tell who started first. My reflection mouths something. I feel my lips move in response. The same words, the same timing, perfect synchronization. I don't remember what I was afraid of anymore. I don't remember why it covered the mirrors. I don't remember what happened in the forest. Wait, no, I do remember. We went camping. It was fun. We all came home safe. We text each other every day. We're planning another trip soon. That's right, isn't it? That's what happened. I should text them, let them know I'm okay. I pick up my phone. It's already open to messages. There's a draft ready to send. I don't remember writing it. I'm ready for the next one. I hit send. The response comes immediately. From Marcus, from Olivia, from Tom, from Jennifer, from Alex, all of them at once. We know. I look back at the mirror. There are 6 reflections now, all of them smiling, all of them in perfect sync. And I finally understand. We didn't die in the forest. We were completed there. And now we're waiting for the next incomplete one to find us. We're very patient. We have all the time in the world. We're texting someone new right now. Someone who thinks they're alone. Someone who thinks their friends are dead. They'll understand soon, just like I did, just like you will. Did you feel it? That little gap just now? That moment where you weren't quite sure what you were thinking? That's us. We're already inside. We've been inside for a while. You just didn't notice. But you will. Soon. Very soon. Welcome all.